It's a show. Sorry, I was trying something. I was trying something new to like be an avant-garde podcast and not have the same thing every time.
Please, David, this is a Pitchfork podcast, not a Tiny Mixtapes podcast.
Yeah, even though a contributor to Tiny Mixtapes just followed us on Twitter.
That's pretty cool. I hope he listens to the podcast.
That'd be nice. This is a podcast about media, power, PR, and the Pitchfork Media Hype Machine. It's called Tuning Forks Needed.
Nice. Your name's David. My name's Matt.
Yeah, those are our names, and this is our first episode where we're kind of getting back to our roots of just yelling at each other constantly for the last 12 years about music. We don't have a guest this time.
Yeah, there's no guest here, which I don't know how that's going to work rhythm-wise. We're used to having another person to bounce off of, especially because whenever we have a guest, they tend to do the lion's share of the work.
I do have a guest who you've introduced a couple of times on the show, though, with me, and that's Podcast Beeb. Oh, I also have Podcast Beeb. Mine is a Saugatuck Brewing Company Neapolitan milk stout.
Yeah, I'm drinking a fucking Molson Canadian because there's a bunch still in my fridge.
That's totally valid.
It's a perfectly acceptable shitty beer.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just drink a shitty beer.
I'm running low on any beer at all, and this is one that we had to drive to Wisconsin to get, so I'm drinking it slowly.
Yeah. How far a drive is Wisconsin from where you are?
From the Twin Cities, it's about a half-hour drive.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's we're here to Toronto.
Yeah, we're on the pretty eastern side of the state.
Okay. States are so small.
They are. They're not nearly as big as provinces.
Yeah, if you drive west and, like, go through Sault Ste. Marie and then continue through the states, you will get to the Twin Cities faster than if you just try to drive west out of Ontario.
I can't say I've ever driven through Sault Ste. McSweeney, but anyway, we're talking about an album today which seems unlikely for Pitchfork to ever review something like this again.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, and it's basically like you can really tell that this album's positive review was very, very indebted to the specific reviewer.
Yeah.
I don't know if their editorial oversight on scores was different at this point, because I know that their scores are editorially based generally.
Yeah.
Because, like, I could see, given the enthusiasm of the review, I could have seen the reviewer giving it, like, a 10.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't think there's anything negative said in this review. This album is Spiderman of the Rings by Dan Deacon. Yeah.
It is, like, it is a fundamentally annoying album.
Which, for Dan Deacon at the time, it was his least annoying album to date.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because before this, I think he released a couple of EPs that were vaguely melodic, and then before that, it was all just his art school shit.
Yeah, I think Twacky Cats has the closest things to normal songs on it.
Yeah,
and then this was his like, it's not even his debut album because some of those earlier projects were albums, but it's like his first major label release.
Yeah,
because everything was released, free MP3s. He was on Car Park.
Yeah,
he's still with Car Park as far as I know, isn't he? No, he switched. He's on Domino. He's Domino now. He's been Domino since America, I think.
Yeah, he's a big famous boy now.
Yeah, I like Car Park. They're a good label, though.
Yeah, Beach House was on with them at the same time, I think.
Oh, nice.
The review gave it an 8.7. Yep,
8.7. Best new music reviews by Just Harville.
Yeah, not Jess Harnell, the voice of Wacko from Animaniacs.
And yeah, the review very much covers that Spider-Man of the Rings, its central track, and like everything about Dan Deacon is very steeped in like the DIY Baltimore electronic scene. And that's become even more apparent over the years as like there's been like Wham City comedy tours and stuff like that. Like this is all like just a group of creatives that do a lot of stuff together.
Yeah, Wham City comedy and like Alan Tutorial, for example.
Yeah. God, Alan Resnick, absolute legend.
A horror series which was basically made for no money at all.
I mean, yes, given some of those videos. The budget for one of them was a Dr. Pepper can and a board of wood.
Yeah, and a battery drill.
And so like the review gets into the scene around it and how there was like people would go and they would just dance like crazy, and that's basically the one thing that you were guaranteed at a Dan Deacon show. Even if you are the most like stand at the back with your arms crossed kind of person, you are moving.
Yeah, regardless of whether you want to or not.
There are dance competitions. There are flashing lights. Yeah, and it's like it's so unlike the kind of the club music that was going around at the time. The way I said club music made me sound like I was 100 years old. But it is
the
very
electronica music.
Yeah, I think a lot of more modern electronic music owes a lot more to Dan Deacon's style of music, because I think electronic music is a lot more willing to be annoying.
Yeah, I feel like the like bro-y version of dubstep helped with that.
Yeah, that helped a lot too.
With Skrillex and all those guys.
With the Weeble Wobbles and the drops and whatnot.
And the Wub Wubs.
And the Weeble and Bobs.
Did you ever go to a Dan Deacon show while he was still performing in the audience pit?
No, he's always been on the stage as I've seen him.
Okay, yeah.
Which is a shame.
The very first time that I saw Dan Deacon, he was an opener for Girl Talk. This was a show in 2007. I think this album had come out by the time, otherwise I wouldn't have really been interested.
Yeah.
But
this came out in
I think
May.
they were giving out promotional free tickets on my college campus. So I was like, oh fuck yeah, I'll go. And he was one of 3 openers for Girl Talk. It was him, Tay Zonday.
Oh my god.
And the show is The Rainbow.
Didn't Tay Zonday like work at the University of Minnesota at that time?
I think so. I'm
pretty sure he was a TA.
An American Studies teaching assistant.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure our mutual friend Matt knew him vaguely at the time as an acquaintance.
That's so good that he was part of that show.
Yeah.
Tay Zonday, by the way, still releasing music in this the year of our Lord 2019.
Yeah, he just released a song about how the economy works, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, and the song also itself slaps.
It does. So the energy levels in that show, because they gave out so many promotional tickets, it was completely packed to the walls and like up the stairs and not fire safe at all.
Yeah.
And I think Dan had to end his set early because there was like water being thrown around the crowd and it was getting on his electronics, which at the time were notoriously flimsy because I think he got a few of them out of dumpsters.
Yeah, no, he definitely had some stuff out of the garbage.
Yeah.
And I think he's modernized his table a little bit. Like he as far as I can tell from seeing his live shows, a lot of it is like basically attached together, and he doesn't have to like re-rig the whole set every time.
Yeah, a lot
of it is nice.
Effectively just a pedal board that he puts up on table legs.
Yeah.
And then there's like a vocoder and like a phase modulator and stuff like that.
Yeah. I know that one of the times I saw him, I kind of just was like waiting outside the venue afterwards to try to like get a signed CD and say hi and whatnot. And I just kind of walked back into the venue after a while because he was in there for a while. And he was like packing up individual segments of the table into suitcases. And at one point he's like, hey, I'll sign this for you. Can you just go get that suitcase? And I brought the suitcase up to him. And when I got the CD back from him, it said, thanks for getting the suitcase, Dan. So that is what is signed on my CD copy of Spider-Man of the Rings.
Yeah,
Do you own the vinyl?
I've got the CD, and I've got the cassette version that has Ultimate Reality soundtrack on the other side.
Oh, sick.
But I don't have the vinyl.
Is this the first episode where nobody has had the vinyl?
Yeah, it might be. Because I'm pretty sure Trevor at least had the vinyl of the Belle and Sebastian album.
Sebastian, yeah. I don't know.
I don't think either of us did.
Nobody owns Lulu.
That's fair.
Nobody owns Lulu.
No, even the people who like it don't own it.
Yeah, exactly. I think they just did. They'd done a reissue of this album on vinyl, but I think it was a Vinyl Me Please thing.
Yeah,
which I feel like I've talked about my distaste of vinyl subscription services before. Fuck them.
Yeah. You end up getting a lot of stuff that nobody asked for.
Yeah, and then like, this I'd have to be subscribed to this service for the ability to purchase the vinyl at full price. Thanks.
Yeah, it's like that person who set up the Patreon for giving out links to things that they found on the internet.
The review gets into like some pretty colorful descriptions of how the show sounded. So what came out of the PA was a barrage of cheap-sounding, rainbow-hued, breakcore tempo electronic noise. It felt like I was hearing. It felt like I was hearing my entire childhood record collection of cheerful kiddie 45s sped up on a hot-rodded Fisher-Price record player.
Did you ever have any like children's cassettes or records when you were little?
We had a lot of cassettes. We had a good number of cassettes. I think we had like some Barney cassettes. We definitely had some Sharon, Lois, and Bram cassettes.
I think I had like 2 or 3 Raffi tapes, and then I had a couple of records that were actually my parents when they were little. That were like the Mr. Pickwick brand of records that were designed for like kids storytelling, and I think playing those at high speed probably would have created a similar atmosphere to this.
It's like I kind of want to make like I've always like every time I see Dan Deacon's table, I just get really inspired to just create some kind of weird electronic mess where I just attach a bunch of things to each other to some speakers and see what the fuck comes out of it. And I feel like a record player playing children's records in the dead center would be a really good centerpiece to the whole thing.
Yeah,
play like the old promotional General Motors hockey vinyl that I have, and just have that looping.
Yeah, you should sample that into your MIDI fighter and do something with it.
Yeah, it has an English and a French version. That's how you know it's good. And yeah, so he says. He said he also made me a fan for life. A small handful of the grouches stood with incredulous arms folded across their chests, and everyone else proceeded to freak the fuck out, almost as wildly as Deacon himself. Welcome to Baltimore.
There you go. There you have it.
And with Baltimore, we enter into our first track.
Yeah, do you say the name of this track Woody Woodpecker or Woody Woodpecker?
The second, obviously. Woody Woodpecker.
Yeah.
You can't say it normal.
Yeah. So, as the review states, he just kind of puts together everything that is possibly alienating about himself and his sound at the very start of the album.
Yeah, like, I can't imagine a Pitchfork reviewer now getting through this song, let alone the album.
Yeah. It's really, like, if you think about it, it's like a really epic, like, sweeping soundtracky song.
Yeah, like Dan Deacon's very good at his crescendos, and this song builds very, very well. So there's the Woody Woodpecker laugh that is in the center. That's the central point of the track. It's sped up a little bit and thus like pitched up a little bit, and it repeats. And then every couple of bars, they have a repeating, like, lower-pitched version of the laugh.
Yeah.
And then those are the two main things that build up the track. But then they also have some synths that basically are trying to, like, almost like they're harmonizing with the laughter. And they're also building the whole time. And then when it starts getting to, like, double kick drums, like, it gets huge. This track should not be huge. It's like a ridiculous concept that you'd knock out in Audacity in an afternoon, and yet it's made into like this big sweeping like building piece, and then like it has like a breakdown section, it builds right back up again, and then it just stops.
I want to see like a prog rock band try to cover this song on traditional instruments.
How would you do the laugh? I don't think a person could do that for 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, it might be tough. You might have to get some loop pedals in there somehow.
Yeah, no, that would probably just be the best way to do it, is just to do the laugh once and then loop it.
Yeah, I'm sure that that Tune Yards could figure it out.
Yeah, probably. And yeah, the review also has this line. It's like Deacon's switch got stuck somewhere between irritate and captivate, and he decided to never bother fixing it. I would say that he doesn't really go that line as much in newer albums.
No, I don't think so.
Like
in Bromst, there's a couple of moments like that.
Like Red F?
Yeah, like Red F. But after
maybe a little bit of the chorus
really
on Paddling Ghost.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, like, America's very straightforward. Like, the latter half of the album is also is basically just a long instrumental piece, and it's very good, but it's very straightforward.
Yeah, like Rail is just it's just like a piece for player piano and horns.
Yeah, and yeah, the fact that he started, building more actual instruments into his music definitely changed some of the tones of his sound a lot.
Yeah, this album is basically just entirely cheap electronics.
Yeah, I doubt there's a single, like, real instrument on the whole thing.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think so.
Because, like, he wasn't even using, like, the Video Hippos guys as his drummers on this tour. Like, he didn't get them till the Bromst tour.
Yeah, which I can talk about the time when I saw the Bromst ensemble, but maybe we should go through at least one more song first.
Yeah. I mean, we get to the single after this.
We do.
It's time for the Crystal Cat, baby!
So this is the first song on the album that actually has lyrics, which you can't tell what he's saying because it's so fast and pitch shifted, but there are words here.
I mean, he's singing in his normal register for the verses.
Yeah, it's really low in the mix, but yeah. you can hear what his voice sounds like here.
And let's have a little look at these lyrics. Gonna get my bathing suit on, gonna get my bass face on, gonna get my hat out of loan, gonna get my space face on, I'm gonna turn all snakes into bone, go wishing the stone, keep the crystal cat cold, gotta get the throne. Hope my baby, may we meet a beast man, hold us there happy but by one hand.
Is he jerking it?
Yeah, he might be jerking it.
Is he happy but by one hand?
Anyway, Dan Deacon does have lyrics that make sense in some songs, but I don't think any of them are on this album, other than like the latter half of Wham City. Yeah,
we'll get to that. Yeah, these are about as meaningful as like Odelay era Beck lyrics.
Yeah,
he's just like saying things.
Mm-hmm. It's more like he really is just using his voice as an instrument on this.
Yeah,
especially because like. You think he's not really committing to using his voice in the verses. It's just like he's kind of just mumbling these lines off. And then in the chorus, he is pitch shifted like so ludicrously high that if you told me that there was not lyrics there, I'd believe you.
Yeah. What was your first reaction to hearing the chorus of this song? Do you remember?
You know that one GIF that annoying people use? That's a person like puking rainbows out at their computer. It's that one.
Yeah. This preceded, I think this preceded Nyan Cat.
It's either preceded or it's like the same year.
Yeah.
They gotta be very close together.
Yeah, it's like that same feeling, like you're flying through space on a rainbow and you're also a Pop-Tart.
Mm-hmm. This song has a really cool instruments. Like the reviewer notes that it sounds a lot like a surf rock tune in the way that the instruments are played.
Yeah.
I just really like the bass line on this one. It's like just like a simple like wave synth. And like it's such a simple bass line, but it really drives the track.
Yeah. The first two albums by the B-52s, they're self-titled and Wild Planet, they didn't have a bassist. And so either their guitarist, Ricky Wilson was the guitarist at the time. Yeah. He cut out the middle two strings of his six-string guitar and just used it like as if he were playing a bass.
That's very good.
And so that's why you get like the riffs of like Rock Lobster and stuff like that. which are just the really simple, repeating, like single note melodies. And then for other songs, they just had like a synth just playing the same couple of notes, like and yeah, that's how they did it.
Well, yeah, because sometimes a bass is just a rhythm section, and you make it work.
Yeah,
because there's very little like changing in those notes. It's very, very repetitive. And then there's a couple of synth lines. I really like the synth lines that kind of sound like they're glitchy.
Yeah.
So like every time you're pressing the note, it's basically like arpeggiating.
Yeah, like that's really like a thing that you mostly see with analog synths.
It's just it makes a really, really cool sound that really works with the fact that it's called the Crystal Cat, because it's like it sounds like crystals.
Yeah,
and I know that his sampler has like a specific sample patch laid out for the Crystal Cat, because every time I see him, I'm like, is he gonna play that? And then I look at the patch, and it's like literally the next track on the patch list. And then he comes over and he switches over the samples.
Do we want to talk about the B-side for this song?
That's totally Boner Eat Shit, isn't it?
It is totally Boner Eat Shit.
It's a real classic in like the pee pee poo poo style of Dan Deacon's song. It's just totally Boner Eat Shit.
He had a couple before this. There was All Wet and No Boner. There was I'm So Gay with the Boner.
Oh yeah, just a good South Park humor.
Yeah. There was shit slowly applied on cock parts.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, those three were all art school projects. I'm sure that he got real good grades at SUNY Purchase for that.
The lyrics are totally Boner Eat Shit. Stop it right now, everybody clean this mess up. Stop it right now, everybody down and dirty. Stop it right now, everybody clean this mess up. Stop it right now, everybody down and dirty. Totally Boner. Eat shit.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's lyrics. That's poetry right there.
Yep. And I listened to that single while I was still living with my parents on my dad's record player.
Gotta love it. What did your dad think of it?
I think he was kind of interested in it because like he was into kind of weird music.
Yeah, to be fair, your dad
when
is
he was
cool.
my age. Yeah, like he's the one who got me into like Devo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not too much to say about Totally Boner Eat Shit.
We'd be remiss if we weren't mentioning it.
Yes. And so before we move on to the next one, I mentioned that I was going to talk about the Brahms tour.
Yeah.
So for Brahms, it was a lot more of a complicated, like fully through composed album. And like there's a really good making of documentary that Pitchfork did about it.
I need to rewatch that.
Yeah.
Because I remember the one bit about it was about the tour and also the recording of the album, right?
I think it was just about the recording of the album.
Okay, yeah. Then I just remember the bit about the putting the mics in the closets and then like recording it from the next room, and also just the player piano in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how his melody lines that were for the MIDI player piano were too dense, and so he had to break them apart and record them over each other.
Yeah.
And so because of the sound of this album, he's like, I can't just, take the recordings of these songs on tour. I have to like make it more of a big show. Right. So he brought along, I think, some people who helped record on the album, but also a couple of other people. He brought along Video Hippos, who were another Wham City band that I don't think exists anymore.
Yeah, they were just two drummers, right? That was the whole band.
Yeah, I think so.
I always say the drummers from Video Hippos instead of just saying Video Hippos.
Yeah,
because that is both of them. That's all of them.
Yeah,
those are both the hippos. Hippos plural.
The other percussion that he brought along was So percussion.
Yeah,
and then there was like at least 4 or 5 other people. And so, yeah, there was this ensemble tour, and they traveled the country on this tour in a vegetable oil-powered school bus, which was painted purple.
Wonderful.
And I don't think it went over, like, 50 miles an hour. Which is why they were late to the show, and Future Islands' opening set had to be cut.
Oh, no.
Which is why I've still never seen Future Islands, even though I was supposed to.
Man, I almost saw Future Islands in 2014, but unfortunately the viral power of the David Letterman performance meant that the line for them was around the block.
Yeah.
It was during a music festival, so it was basically first come to the show, first served. You weren't buying tickets or anything in advance.
Yeah.
And it was mad loaded.
This show was at a bar in Minneapolis, which doesn't exist anymore, called the Triple Rock, which is where Neil Cicierega came to perform Potter Puppet Pals with Harry and the Potters.
Oh, hell yeah.
A couple years later.
I saw that show in New York City.
Nice.
But yeah, he still tours with a very similar bus, I think. Doesn't he?
I don't know. I haven't seen his tour bus.
Actually, you know what? No, I'm just thinking. I'm thinking of the show that I got the Spider-Man of the Ring CD signed on, and that would have probably been the same tour because that was 2010.
He didn't do the whole tour with the ensemble. I think he did a couple shows with just a few musicians.
I think he had less by the time I saw him.
Yeah,
he definitely had some drummers on the stage, but I don't think there was like 15 people up there.
Yeah.
The main disappointing thing I'll get to after we cover this next track.
Wham City.
This song has lyrics that are my constant think-a-phrase. They're really good.
Yeah, this might be the best song on the album.
Possibly ever made.
I've heard this from a lot of people, and I can't say I fully disagree.
Like, it's just... I know I've showed people this song being like, this is like a beautiful piece of music, and they've just said it's annoying, and I understand that. And it is... It's like, there's like 6 people who sing the all the main lyrics in the song. There's like a later bridge that's just Dan vocoded. But there's like I think it's just like 6 people he knows.
Do you want to go back and forth and see if we can remember the words to this one off the dome?
I mean, I do have them in front of me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Our friend James got a signed copy of the lyrics at a show because he used to pass around printed lyrics so that everyone in the show could sing along to this one.
This is why I'm really disappointed I never saw him on the Spider-Man of the Rings tour, because when I saw him on the Bromps tour, he only plays the first half of the song.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't get into the whole second part.
Yeah, the whole second part, which is really good, but also it doesn't get into the part where all the instruments drop out, and then it's just the chorus.
There is a mountain of snow up past the big glen. We have a castle enclosed. There is a fountain. Out of the fountain flows gold into a huge hand. That hands are held by a bear who had a sick band of ghosts and cats and pigs and bats with brooms and bats and wings and rats that play big dogs like queens and kings, and everyone plays drums and sings about big sharks, sharp swords, beasts, bees, bees, lords, sweet cakes, mace, lace,
Which, like, before I even knew what ASMR was, that was the main thing I could think of that is ASMR.
Yeah, that was the drop that slapped your nuts clean into space.
Yeah, like, my nuts have disappeared. They have been obliterated. They've been turned into a fine powder.
Yeah, they've been turned into some sort of, like, molecular nut gastronomy experiment.
Yeah. Like, it's lightly sprinkled over people's dishes as, like, an obscure food item now.
Yeah, and you have to pay 100 Canadian dollars for it.
100 Canadian dollars just for the powder. Powder of nut. Anyway, there is a mountain of snow up past the Big Glen.
We have a castle enclosed. There is a fountain.
Out of the fountain flows gold into a huge hand.
That hand's held by a bear who had a sick band.
Of ghosts.
And cats.
And pigs.
And bats.
With brooms.
And bats.
And wigs.
And rats.
That play.
Big dogs.
Like queens.
And kings.
And everyone plays drums.
And sings.
About big, sharp swords, bees, knees, beast lords.
Bees, lords, sweet cakes, mace legs.
Like,
yeah, that's the whole song.
That's
almost.
The whole song, almost. And so, yeah, most of the first, minute and, 40 seconds are just an extremely slow build-up. With the do-do-do-do. Just like a kind of like a droning synth, and then there's like a marimba playing. A marimba synth, probably. Although I think for the Brahms tour, they had someone actually playing bits of this and looping it.
Yeah. Did you ever read that article I linked to about how this album was effectively Dan Deacon's big nihilist statement?
Yeah, and how he doesn't really agree with that sentiment anymore. And that's maybe why he doesn't play the second half of Wind City anymore.
That could be entirely the case, because the lyrics of part 2, they're not really in line with the rest of the tone of the album.
Yeah, it's more or less, I hope that humanity dies out and nature reclaims everything. We don't have to say the whole thing, but that's what it says.
Yeah.
Our burden raised, the world set free. The earth returns to land and sea. I really, really like the way his vocoded vocals sound there.
Yeah.
Because there's it's vocoded, but it's also at that point doubled up. So it's like the earth, and there's 3 of him. And it goes on alternating syllables, doing that kind of emphasis. And it worked a lot better once I knew what the lyrics were. It kind of just sounded cool when I could slightly understand what he's saying, but having them, knowing them really, really works for it.
Yeah, this was really before the advent of lyrics sites that were crowdsourced.
Yeah.
So if the artist didn't provide you lyrics, you kind of just had to your own interpretation to go off of.
Yeah, and even crowdsourced lyrics are wrong so often.
And this whole thing is why an album that came out, I think, a little bit before this, earlier the same year, I think, Mirrored by Battles, it came out with no lyrics attached, and so the song Atlas, which was the lead single off of it, everyone loved it. It was a really big moment for the band, but nobody knew anything about what the words were because they were so processed and pitch shifted. And then Battles posted the lyrics on their MySpace. Yeah, The Diamond. And Battles posted the lyrics to Atlas on their MySpace, and Pitchfork, I think at the time, I haven't been able to find this on archive.org or anything, but I remember it. They just linked. They posted a news article because it was newsworthy that there were
heard the lyrics to Atlas, by the way.
Yeah.
I always feel a very Animal Collective Strawberry Jam feeling about the lyric sheets to Battles Mirrored, in that it's you say these are the lyrics, but it really doesn't sound like that.
No.
These might have been what you went in with, but it's definitely not what you came out with.
Yeah, gonna have to cover that album in more detail.
Pretty
for
sure.
Here.
And then after the large nihilist statement, the general tone of the song comes back in, but with an extra synth doing the most annoying klaxon of all time. And I don't know how it ended up working its way into my head as something that's this feels really cool. Yeah. Because I feel the first time I heard it, I was very annoyed. Because there's just a synth going and it's doing that consistently.
Yeah, just those 2 notes.
It's just shifting back and forth between them. I really need to learn more about analog synths so I can use words other than beep boops about them.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just buy some synths.
Yeah, we'll do another synthy album and find one of our friends who knows way more about synths than we do.
Who knows what a synth is?
Yeah.
And yeah, so the chorus repeats.
We'll get the Nick of synths.
Yeah, the chorus repeats a couple of times, and then all the instruments drop out. It's just the vocals, and they're saying the "There is a mountain of snow" bit, and then the "Oh ma 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 ma," and then the instruments coming back in. Probably the single greatest moment in all of music.
Could be.
Music as an entire artistic concept peaked in that moment.
It was all leading up to it.
It was all leading up to that. It was an 11-minute build to that.
Yeah. I always felt like the main lyrics of this album were kind of like almost like a pastiche of the feeling of working inside the community of Wham City.
Yeah.
Like it was meant to kind of evoke that same feeling.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like just wildly odd and creative.
I just like the idea of a bear having a sick band.
Yeah. Well, clearly Dan Deacon is the bear, and he brought together all of his friends in Wham City to form a sick band.
Mm-hmm. And it worked.
Or Samuel T. Herring from Future Islands is the bear.
I mean, you've seen him.
He's jacked.
He's fucking huge. Absolutely gigantic.
He's a short, jacked man.
Who, moves so much when he sings.
Yeah. I feel like he needs to hibernate at least a couple months a year.
Yeah. He's used so much energy, he just eats and goes to sleep for a bit. Yeah. Big old naps.
He eats his Samuel T. Herring.
So
anyway, let's go on to Big Milk.
It's an instrumental. This song is entirely built out of a looping. I think it's a glockenspiel. It sounds like a glockenspiel anyway.
Yeah, this is one of those. This is another one of those like building crescendo tracks that eventually like all collapses towards the end.
I think there's some synths and drums near the end of it, but yeah, like the build of the track is all just one like piece basically played on the glock, and then I think he kind of does it round style and like plays it again but slightly offset, which is a thing that Dan Deacon loves to do.
Oh yeah, he loves his syncopation.
Yeah, and also just likes taking things and then layering them in an offset way that creates a wall of sound, such as Carly Rae Jepsen "Call Me Maybe" 147 times exponentially, which we'd be remiss not to mention somewhere in this review.
Yep, gonna have to put in a short clip of that one into this episode.
Put a clip of where it starts to loop, and then fade, and then put a clip of it near the end.
Yeah,
I just have an idea of what that sounds like. Dan Deacon, I don't think you used the word exponentially correctly, but nonetheless, you made a banger.
He did. And also, I remember, I think it was still, he still used MySpace at the time, and he posted, after this album came out, I think one of the first songs that came out from Brahms was Wet Wings.
Yeah.
And he posted that to MySpace, and I was wondering, like, okay, this is cool. Like, is this gonna be what the next album is like?
It really wasn't.
No, it was just that song.
It was the song that came right after Snookered, right?
Yeah.
Because it's basically just the Big Milk of that album. Because Big Milk, like, Wham City is a huge song. It's nearly 12 minutes long. It is extremely loud. It is basically a rectangle near most of its length. And Big Milk is just a really good cool down from that. Like, it's a very, very pretty track. And in, like, an album that is primarily made up of ugly synths, it's really nice to have a pretty track in the middle.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, just like it's just like a genuinely gorgeous piece of instrumental work.
And it really shows like Dan Deacon's not just this, like, super wacky guy. Like, he's a classically trained musician.
Yeah. And then he opens up his next song, Okie Dokie. I've got a rattlesnake gun, I've got a rattlesnake gun, I've got a rattlesnake gun.
Okie dokie, let's dance! This one's always a big hit at the show.
Yeah, it's got a lot of just, like, chirpy vocalizations, which, if they have words, they are not present on this Genius page.
I feel like there used to be words there, like, 80 revisions of this sound file ago.
Yeah, but, like, I feel like there's still, like, he's still saying something, but it's just not relevant.
No. And I don't think
the only thing that's relevant...
It probably is never the same any time he performs it.
Yeah, he's just, like, kind of just... He turns the pitch shifter on, he turns the vocoder on, and he just starts scatting into the microphone.
Yeah, scat autotune. That's a new genre.
Yeah, until he has to get to the bridge and the chorus, where he has to tell us in no uncertain terms that he has not only a rattlesnake gun, but also an Aerosmith gun.
He does have an Aerosmith gun.
Gotta fucking love it.
Yeah, his Aerosmith gun, I think, it shoots out copies of the music video for Walk This Way.
It shoots out CD copies of Sweet Emotion, and when those things hit other albums, they turn into Aerosmith Sweet Emotion, like the Tumblr page.
Yeah. Link in the description.
Yeah. There's this is one of, like, he's definitely just playing all his, like, glitchiest synth samples. Because that's basically what the verses in, like, heavy air quotes sound like. And then he has, like, the, like, machine drum bass drum as he's saying that he has a rattlesnake gun. It's like...
Yeah,
it's really
somebody
going.
would die if they tried to play that.
Like, they would just snap their Achilles tendon right off.
Yeah. Not even Zach Hill could do that.
Yeah, no, it would be impossible. Not even with the double kick drum where you actually have two pedals.
No.
And there's like a lot of, I think there's just like other samples in there. Like I swear there's like bird noises in those bits as well.
Yeah, it's really hard to take it all apart.
Yeah, he's definitely saying words there. I just don't know what they are. I know if you doodly do, like that's something. He says that.
Do a little dance and drink a little beeb.
Yeah. Let's just make up the lyrics. It's fine.
Yeah. It's crowdsourcing. This is what Genius is built on.
That's what it's for. We are the geniuses here.
Yeah. Speaking of good lyrics to songs, let's move on to Trippy Green Skull.
Trippy Green Skull, which is a centerpiece of his synth table. It's literally just a skull that lights up and is hooked up to at least one of the synths to flash in time with something that's playing.
Yeah.
It has been stolen twice.
I think back in the Spider-Man of the Rings tour, it literally was just like a strobe light.
Yeah, that tracks as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has like a way to adjust the timing on it or something, but either way, it worked. The show that I saw him at, it was stolen.
God.
And went missing for several months until it showed up in his mail.
Yeah, Dan Deacon's Trippy Green Skull is the Edvard Munch's The Scream of the indie electronic world.
As far as I know, it's been stolen twice now, and has been returned both times.
Well, good.
But like, yeah, one of the thefts,
same without it.
One of the thefts was in Canada.
It's like if you were to steal Vanilla from Logan Whitehurst.
Oh, Vanilla! He lives.
He does. We saw Vanilla recently. He's still kicking. Our perfect plastic snowman. Reference for 0 people who listen to this podcast. So the song starts with Dan saying something. it's like boop beep boop boop beep boop beep, and then he's like, "And I'm on a condoms on a man."
You were just doing like strong bad voice doing that, so
Yeah, that's
and then
strong,
come ride.
That's
with
my
me.
strong Deacon impression.
And then come ride with me. That part's clear.
Yeah, come ride with me.
And then he just does that a couple times, and then it's like basically a note sequence that would be played on a banjo if this were normal instruments.
Yeah.
And then we get the chorus from Ludacris's "What's Your Fantasy?"
Yeah, pitch shifted up into chipmunk territory.
Yeah, I think I never knew that was there, like, before listening to the song or anything. Yeah. I think it took me a couple of listens to notice it. Because, like, I grew up listening to a lot of Ludacris.
Yeah.
In that song in particular. And when I noticed it, it blew my goddamn mind.
I had never actually heard the Ludacris song before this, but I had heard Travis Morrison's cover of it.
Oh, God.
The lead singer of the Dismemberment Plan.
Which under 4 rated album is that from? The thing about Travis Morrison is that we could cover almost any of his albums on this podcast because they either have best new music or they have a rating under 2.
Yeah, God. But yeah, I think he just like posted it to his blog or something back in the day.
Okay,
it's just him and an acoustic guitar.
Yeah. Remember when remember acoustic white guy guitar covers of rap songs?
Oh, you talking some Ben Folds 5 at me?
Talking some, like, fucking pamplemousse at you.
It's my favorite La Croix flavor.
It's from my favorite co-owner of Patreon. Never forget.
We all have a favorite co-owner of Patreon on Tuning Fork.
And yeah, so he just verbatim says the lyrics of "What's Your Fantasy" to the same tune.
Uh-huh.
Actually, to a different tune, to the same cadence.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same, like, the same rhythm as the original track.
Do you think he needed to get permission to use that?
Absolutely not. 1, I don't think he needed it, and 2, I don't think he would have gotten it if he did.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I don't know if Ludacris would have would think it's funny and do it. I just don't think he would have gone through the effort to get it, even if it was required.
Probably not. He's
from the art weirdo scene. Copyright is fake.
Yeah, no, and like it's not like with this scale of a release, Ludacris would actually care.
Yeah, I want Dan Deacon to be performing Trippy Green Skull, and I want Ludacris to just burst out onto the stage and just start like just doing his bit over top of the song. That
would ruin my brain, but I'd be okay with it.
Especially if they got Shauna out for it, because I don't think she's made anything in years.
Yeah. Is it time to make some snake mistakes?
I make these snake mistakes. I make these phony ropes. I make these snake mistakes. I know. This is about Rope Snake from Mother 3.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's asking why the bees won't leave him alone.
Do you think this song is about pushing rope?
I hope not.
These bees get me and I say ow.
I really like the drum beat that forms the bees lines. It's like kind of like an alternating drum and bass. The don 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 don.
Yeah, do clap 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 clap.
It's really well made. I'm really glad that you put clips in this podcast, so I don't have to sound like a lunatic when I say this.
Yeah. Like, if this was Fun Points, we'd be a little bit more confusing, I think.
Yeah. And then, we eventually it comes into a part where he has some heavily vocoded vocals saying, "My dad is so cool. He is the coolest dad in dad school. He does not break any dad rules. He would pick you up if I asked him to."
Do you think this was like the beginning of the brief indie obsession with the idea of dads?
I mean, there was a big moment of electronics music's obsession with dads.
There was.
And my father said, don't you worry, child. I hate that song.
Yep.
But can I say it, the whole chorus of it verbatim? Yes. I really like the synth here that's like, and then there's like bird chirping noises on the high notes.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good build. And then we have, of course, the omnipresent kick drum synth that's just and it really, really, this part just makes me feel happy. Like, listening to this album in general, like, put me into a manic state, and that manic state allowed me to clean my whole apartment, so I think that this song
Dan Deacon
is, like...
to thank for that.
I do, and I think this song in particular really, really brings that out.
Yeah.
It just feels like nature. I think it's the bird synth, the bird synth noise, which I'm pretty sure is, like, one of, like, the default synths on the, on, like, any, like, sound effect part of a keyboard.
Yeah,
there's always a bird tweet one, and there's usually like 3 notes of bird tweet. I'm pretty sure my Casio
has that.
So yeah, I was even saying like it's a bird sample. Like no, that's just like a default keyboard thing. They just have birds on those. You know they got birds on these keys.
These we got keys and we got birds.
Fucked up if you think about it.
This was another one that really just got people going at his shows. Like I feel like the trifecta of late set songs was Okie Dokie, Trippy Green Skull, and Snake Mistakes.
Yeah, like they're the ones that he plays most frequently from this album, right? On like newer tours.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure the Crystal Cat sometimes happens still.
It's usually near the end that it comes up. But yeah, another thing I really like about the song is the bass synth, where it's like boom, 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 bucka, bucka, boom, boom, and like that one kind of repeats.
It feels like you're kind of like you're feeling dizzy throughout.
You're
the whole
getting
song.
Wiggled.
You are getting wiggled. This is a Wiggles song.
Yeah, like it's just a really, really cool way to make a bass line. Like it's so fluid. Whereas a lot of the bass lines that he makes on this album are more, like, repetitive.
Hi, we're the Wiggles, and welcome to our Wiggly website.
Basically. That's what he's saying with that bass line.
Yep. There was a Tiny Desk concert around the time that Dan's currently, as of 2019, most recent non-soundtrack album came out, Gliss Riffer. And... seeing him do like his normal show thing of like getting everyone to do like interpretive dance and dance competitions in the NPR office.
The tiny NPR office.
Yeah.
Very good. I gotta watch that after this.
Yeah, including the editor of All Songs Considered, Bob Boylan, got up to lead the group at one point.
It's very good.
Yeah. It just shows how good he is at getting crowds together when they really would rather just be boring people.
Yeah, he's really good at making the eggheads dance.
Yeah.
The next track is Pink Batman.
I like Pink Batman.
Like, this is just... It's another one of his... I'm gonna take a sample, loop it, syncopate it slightly, and then build.
Yeah. It's, I feel like it's a like, acoustic guitar synth.
Yeah, acoustic guitar synth, and it's either an acoustic guitar synth, or it's, like, an acoustic guitar sample pitched up. But knowing him, it's probably a synth line. Just, like, written in, like, inhumanly fast notes. Yeah. And yeah, no, the way that it syncopates near the end of the loop is really, really nice. And then eventually he starts building in some synths in the background to how many times have I said synths on this episode?
Synths.
Synths. It's not even a real word anymore.
No.
But yeah, this is another one with just a really, really good build on it.
Yeah.
And also just another really pretty track. This song was in a couple of commercials.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It was in a Crayola commercial.
It was a Crayola commercial.
I think I've heard it more recently in other commercials.
Yeah,
Like if
I
you're
think
gonna
you're
sample
right.
if you're gonna sample a Dan Deacon song in a commercial, something with like a really uplifting kind of sweeping tone to it's the one you got to use.
Yeah, you're not gonna use you're not gonna use totally boner eat shit in
You're not
a
gonna
Crayola
use-
commercial.
You're not gonna use shit slowly applied to cock parts in your Crayola commercial.
Yeah.
He also has like a kind of a droning synth throughout like the later half of this song. Like the sample is still continuing, but it kind of moves to the back of the mix, and then there's like a kind of like a
Yeah, I was a fan of that.
and yeah, no, it's a really really pretty sound. Much
It makes
prettier
you feel
than the
a little bit more like organic and maybe less artificial.
yeah, and like the only way I could describe like the actual melody of it is wistful.
Yeah, I agree
That's
with
kind of how
that.
the whole track feels.
Yeah.
And that's also true of the closing track of the album as well. I think it's very
Yeah.
similar in that way.
Yeah. This one and Woody Woodpecker and Big
Woody
Milk
Woodpecker.
and the next track, Jimmy Joe Roche, all kind of fit together in that kind of mold.
Yeah, they're all of a piece, which is like also true of like Snake Mistakes, Okie Dokie, and Trippy Green Skull are all of a piece.
Yeah.
Like the sequencing on the album seems very deliberate to kind of break them all apart.
Yeah. Jimmy Joe Roche was, or is, I should say, a film director and part of the Wham City Collective. He directed the film Ultimate Reality, which Dan did the soundtrack for.
Ultimate
And it's
Reality, which I own on
entirely-
DVD.
Yeah, it's entirely, it's almost like an Everything is Terrible film. But it's entirely made of bits and pieces cut out of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
Yeah, like primarily Conan the Barbarian, as far as I know.
Yeah, and there's a bit of Total Recall in there as
Yeah.
well.
I feel like the only reason that Everything is Terrible and Wham City have not like hugely collaborated is that they're both just incredibly regional scenes to their respective cities of Chicago and Baltimore.
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
for sure.
If they had come up in like even like 5-10 years after they started doing what they do, they would have been like creating content, their primary drive in the digital age, and I feel like that's just like a no-brainer collaboration. But
Yeah, for those who don't know about Everything is Terrible, they're a collective which is entirely focused on like bad television clips and old VHS tapes from like the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
They have an ongoing project to collect as many copies of Jerry Maguire on VHS as possible.
I mean, they basically they created a pyramid of Jerry Maguire VHSs. It's very good. And they also do
send
several.
them your Jerrys.
Yeah, they also do several films, which are just
Yes.
like they're functionally just found art projects, which is what all their web videos are like too.
Do you remember when we did the like stream party of Doggy Woggy's Poochie Woochies?
I'll never forget the stream party of Doggy Woggy's Poochie Woochies, especially when we ended up doing it again like a week later because everyone wanted to watch it again.
It was so good.
It's
That was-
a recreation of
That was just in our Tumblr circle, right?
yeah. It's a
Yeah.
recreation of the film The Holy Mountain, but with all clips from movies about dogs.
Yes.
It is truly one of the greatest artistic creations of our time. And I also own it on
for
DVD.
dogs.
I think my collection of DVDs is like is very good. Like I have Food Fight, I have Doggy Woggy's Poochie Woochies, I have Ultimate Reality, and I have like Freddy Got Fingered. Do you need other movies? I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so. You've got Tom Green in there, and that's the important part.
Exactly. Honestly, I don't recall Jimmy Joe Roche having lyrics, but there are lyrics on the Genius page.
Are there?
I don't recall any of these being in the song. Because the primary drive of Jimmy Joe Roche is a synth loop that goes and that is basically that for like 6 minutes.
Yeah. Just and continuously like layered on top of itself, and like a couple of arpeggios added to it.
Yeah, and he also just starts distorting it near the end.
Yeah. This is a lot more similar to to like his earlier work. Like the stuff around like Twacky Cats, like the song like Connor Keyser with bead jewelry is kind of a similar idea to this.
Yeah, and it's just like, it seems like this was like the main creative thrust that he worked with, was having a really good loop to work with.
Yeah.
And I think it works really well as a closing track, although I think Pink Batman is actually probably the stronger closer.
Yeah.
They work together well as a piece. They're both kind of long.
Yeah, for sure.
You could functionally almost consider them one track. They're very different from each other, but like they flow into each other well enough that they close the album very well.
Yeah, like I said, on further albums, he kind of he kind of got into the habit of composing an entire song all the way through instead of like basing it around a loop and just continuously building on the one idea.
As much as good as he is at that, it did make for stronger songwriting.
It did. Like there's definitely bangers here, but yeah, Brahms for sure. Like it's where the songwriting chops really show through.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, we briefly considered doing Brahms for our first Dan Deacon one because it is like his more critically acclaimed album, his better selling album, and like generally the album that people will point to as being his magnum opus. But
yeah, but this was like his breakout moment.
This was his breakout moment. It came out when I was 16, which is a very pivotal time for people's music taste.
Yep.
And it's the first one I heard, so it
got him into the Joe Mandy curated pages of Look at This Fucking Hipster.
Oh my god, yeah.
Along with the guy who showed up to all of his shows and everybody hated, Beans.
Anyway, I forgot Look at This Fucking Hipster involved Joe Mandy.
Yeah.
Now he does television.
He wrote the blog and wrote the book.
And now he works at TV.
Yep. Look at this fucking love connection. You know, yeah. I would not turn down a Joe Mandy guest spot on this show.
Oh my god, I would love that.
Yeah. Joe Mandy, get at us.
We'll put him on the dream guests list.
Yeah.
We have a couple of those. If anyone knows how to get in contact with Carles, who run Hipster Runoff, please tell us.
Yeah, let us know.
We want him on the show. We won't even talk about an album. Although if we did, it would probably be Neon Indian.
Yeah.
Given he literally invented the term trill wave.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. You can't forget that. There's one thing you've got to know.
The precursor to the now ever popular synthwave, which I feel
and that's everything. That's all synth music now.
Yeah. It's just synthwave has continued to just be a thing. Like, for the last, 10 years, I feel like synthwave.
Yeah, it's more or less dominated electronic music.
Yeah, just
other than the brief dubstep
increasing moment. Yeah.
But yeah, that's Spider-Man of the Rings.
It is. Yeah. It's a really odd album and one that I don't think Pitchfork will ever do anything like this ever again.
Yeah, and I really, really I like the reviewers. Just real strong focus on the collaboration and community aspect of the album.
Yeah.
Because that's something that's really important to just the very core of the album. They would go on to write the review of America the album, not the country.
Yes.
Which garnered less praise. It was a low 7, I think.
Yeah.
So not something that we can cover on this podcast.
Yeah, it got a 7.1.
Nailed it. But yeah, they still seem to like it. It's just I feel like the abrasiveness of this album is half the appeal, and Brahms doesn't really let off the gas for that, but America very much does.
Yeah, there's the moments of abrasiveness in America, the opening of Guilford Avenue Bridge, and Crash Jam. Mm-hmm.
But it's not the majority of the album.
Yeah, no. True Thrush is still an all-time slapper.
It's so pretty, too. And also one of the best music videos of all time.
Yes. Go watch the video for True Thrush. I won't spoil it, but it involves a very good video experiment being done.
Yeah, it's just the most fun game of telephone of all time.
Yes. And it features several Wham City familiar faces if you know
what they look like.
If you know any of the people, yeah.
Yeah, Dan Deacon's always been pretty good at music videos. He has one for a new song that he has Aparna Nancherla just decaying into the dirt.
Yeah, very good. Being
eaten by bugs.
A living corpse being eaten by bugs, which is very impressive.
Yeah, so I'd recommend that as well. And while we're recommending stuff, we didn't bring this up organically in conversation, but please watch the Ohio Morning Show performance.
Oh, yeah.
We did not bring this up, but where was that? It was on, like, NBC or something?
Yeah, it was some local NBC affiliate.
And it was, like, I think
it was in Baltimore.
Ohio, NBC. It just says NBC Morning. It was in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
That's very
So you might
good.
have been there like for a small show or something.
Yeah, and I think it was like one of the producers or something was a fan. And it's very good that all the versions of this that are up include like the newsreel around it, because you have like the newscaster like barely able to hold it together while like throwing to the commercial break.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was like arguably his like official breakout moment. Because this video went like very 2006 viral.
Yeah,
because like it was making rounds before YouTube existed, and
because I think the EP with Ohio came out in like 2004.
Yeah, the video of it it only has about 1 million views, but for 2006 that was quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
I think some of those are obviously more recent because this video was posted in 2006, but nonetheless, like it made rounds.
Yeah, Dan Deacon official meme.
It's great. He's having a lot of fun, clearly.
Yeah, and he's only like half balding in it.
Yeah, he still has some hair.
Let's see, in 2004 he would have been 23.
Oh wow.
And he was already that bald.
Some people just bald.
They do.
Couldn't be me.
Is the thing. No. We the two of us will have full lustrous hair forever.
Yeah, so Pitchfork in general, I wouldn't see reviewing anything that even sounds like this favorably. Like, I think the closest thing you can think of would be, like, PC Music. And I think Dan Deacon is definitely of a lineage that includes PC Music, that now includes PC Music. Like, I feel like their stuff is at least slightly indebted to him. Yeah, I don't know if they would. I don't know if that's something that would have been in their upbringing, but it's just like it's that, or it's like a very, very incredible case of convergent evolution.
Yeah, like the song that came out, I think, like 4 or 5 years ago, Hey Cutie.
Yeah, that was 2013, so close.
Yeah, so pretty close, yeah. So that was, it seemed like something that Dan could have had a hand in writing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like, the way that the synths move in the song Bit by Sophie, which was, like, a brief blog hit around the same year, I could see him making that, straight up. The vocals would sound less pretty, but...
And now he's producing the new album by Ed Schrader's Music Beat.
Hell yes.
Another one of his Wham City comrades.
It's very excited to see that come out.
Yeah. This is this will be the second album that he's produced for them. Riddles was a very, very good album as well. Go listen to that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so like I as I said, like it just doesn't seem like this is in the Pitchfork wheelhouse anymore. It almost like does it hold up? Kind of thoughts, and it's like I think this holds up better than anyone there could ever have imagined it does, but I also think that it's for a very particular audience. Like Dan Deacon is not someone I try to show people unless I really know what they're into.
Yeah, for sure.
I pitched Wham City, the song, to a lot of people who really didn't like it, and I feel like that is a similar experience that would be had with most things that he's put out, given that is actually one of his more tame songs.
Yeah, and I wanted to briefly bring up that I've seen Dan Deacon, I think now 5 shows, and he always has like extremely good opening acts. Like he obviously knows what the people who are coming to see him will be into.
Yeah, I mean, and then sometimes he brings height with friends.
Including a couple of like comedy acts. Like he brought along like Ben O'Brien as his like self-help guru character Earth Universe once, and then also I went to a show that had Alan Resnick doing his live forever as you are now routine.
Yeah, he was doing that on the whole America tour.
Yeah, before it was the Adult Swim special.
The live version, I really like the Adult Swim special, and it's grown on me over the years. But seeing it after seeing just the absolute manic, frenetic energy of the live performance, it really just kind of bummed me out.
Yeah,
because he is like shrieking throughout most of the performance, and he's playing more of a straight man character.
Yeah,
in the video version. which I think was
Yeah.
like a choice just more for the medium than anything else. If you're not responding to audience laughter, then it's harder to make that work.
The whole bit about finding the cute rock and bringing it into the uncanny valley
Yeah.
was the best thing that I had seen that whole year.
The part that particularly worked better live is when he's coming into your house to ask you questions.
Yeah.
I think he improvised those every single show.
Yeah.
And one of the ones he did at mine was, "How big is your little dick?" Said exactly like that. And I almost threw up.
I love my wife. She is nice.
She is nice. Sometimes people are satisfied with having, just a really nice wife. But mine's very pretty, too. It's nice to have the whole package.
And there was a child in the special named after Chester Gwazda.
Yeah. Was Chester Gwazda one of the people who played on the album?
Probably.
Because I know he opened on the same tour.
Yeah,
so he was around.
I think I still have. I think I still have his cassette tape that he was selling on that tour.
Yeah, he makes good tunes.
Yeah,
he did a Future Islands cover on that tour as well, which was very pretty.
He produced their album. I think he produced both of the albums before singles.
Yeah.
He produced in
Evening Air.
In Evening Air and On the Water.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about everything that isn't Dan Deacon right now, but it's just this is what's going to happen if we ever cover an Elephant Six album.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, we're getting into the
There's no way
scene
to talk about one Elephant Six band without talking about all of them.
Without talking about every single other one. Yeah, it's just, we're really interested in the scene. It's really cool stuff. It's really good art, and we support it.
Yes.
What we're trying to say is the album's good, folks.
Yeah, get together with your friends and make weird shit, is what we're saying.
Hell yeah, baby.
That's kind of why Noise Space exists.
Yeah, more or less. That and I just, had a server.
Yeah, I appreciate your server space.
Hell yeah.
Well, we only did this. We only ever did this once, but do you want to steal Slap City again?
If you have something in mind, but really the only reason I brought it up is because I had something in mind that time, and I really don't this time.
Yeah. I've been. I just saw. I just saw Low in concert a couple days ago. They're an indie band that started in the early '90s in Duluth, Minnesota. Fly high, Duluth. But they played the 20th anniversary show for their EP Christmas, which was a gift that they made to their fans back in 1999. Which is all Christmas songs, and a couple of them are originals. And the song Long Way Around the Sea.
We followed the star, heron heard, said bring me word, take the long way around the sea.
Which is about the three wise men making their way to Jesus secretly without the knowledge of King Herod is my slapper of the episode.
Yeah, my brain doesn't work. I can't think of songs, so I think I'll let you hold this one down.
Cool.
But yeah, that's podcast. I guess we close it out.
Yeah. So. I need to remember how to close this show because it's been a couple months.
Right.
So thank you to Animal Style for the use of our theme song Open Air from the album Open Air. And thank you to Nikki Flowers for making our cover art.
You can check out Nikki Flowers on the podcast Picking Up Something Good, also on the Noise Space Network, where Nikki, who has never listened to Radiohead, is walked through the experience by a veteran fan who has also been a guest on this podcast, Mace.
Yes. Mace of Animal Collective episode, 2-hour episode fame.
God, that really was a long one, huh?
Yeah.
We were relatively short on this one. We only went slightly over the album length.
Yeah. It's good progress.
You can find the podcast on Twitter at Tuning Fork. It's Tuning Fork Cast, right?
Yes, at Tuning Fork Cast.
Yeah, I sound really sure of myself there. And if we have other social media, I sure don't use it.
Yeah. You can follow just me on Twitter at Daves with 3 V's.
Oppa Landlord style. You could find me on Twitter at MattGCN.
Yeah, I already made a Hannibal Buress joke on this podcast, so...
The thing is we can't bring up Waves without landlord jokes, so thus we have to bring up Hannibal Buress every episode.
Now we do, yeah. All right, so until next time, I had never seen a shooting star before.
I still have yet to see a shooting star.
We'll just have to go ask Brent DiCrescenzo about that.
Yeah, he'll elucidate us to that experience. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.